and welcome back to the You Were Lied To series. In each episode, I take about 10 minutes to break down a cultural issue that we've all been lied to about. It's been about a month since I've posted a video, and since then I've gotten a lot of new subscribers, so welcome, and special thank you to Tiffany Ferg, who suggested me on her small channel shoutout and blew my channel up, so I just want to say thank you, and yeah. Today we're going to talk about how we've all been lied to about the labor shortage.
The owner of several Portsmouth area restaurants says some are closed a few days a week because of staffing issues, especially in the kitchen.
But the problem is no one wants to work.
A worker shortage, they're pointing fingers towards federal unemployment benefits, saying it's jeopardizing the expansion of the economy.
So why are we still seeing so many help wanted signs out there, like more than we did before the pandemic? Well, many claim it has to do with unemployment and how much those qualifying for it can take home. For many, it's more than they made when they were working.
About $20 an hour to stay home, $40,000 a year if you have two people drawing that unemployment. That's $80,000 a year that we're paying people not to work.
Federal unemployment benefits will end in 30 days in Missouri.
Okay, so a lot of people are arguing about this issue. Some people say it's our lack of work ethic, and other people say it's because young people don't want to do skilled labor like plumbing or construction. Others think it has to do with minimum wage or the supplemental unemployment payments that many Americans are getting. Some will tell you it's because of Biden's policy, and others say it's because of how Trump handled the crisis. Whatever side you believe is irrelevant to me. If you're looking for economic analysis and in-depth political reporting, this is the wrong channel. I'm just some working-class idiot who barely made it through online college. What I will say in this video is something that a lot of pundits and reporters won't say, and that's what you, as a worker, should do in response to the labor shortage. Oh, and if you're a business owner, stick around. I got a couple business tips for you. The most important thing about this labor shortage is that they have shown us their hand. And by they, I mean the owning class. They are absolutely desperate for our labor, and for once, we have the advantage. But this isn't going to last forever. That's why I'm making this video. I want to empower you guys to act now. First, let's discuss the lie that there is a labor shortage. There is more than enough labor out there. It's not like COVID created millions of new jobs on top of all the old jobs. What's happening is that a fraction of the old jobs are coming back, and owners are having a hard time filling those positions. Another thing is that a lot of workers shifted during the pandemic. For example, older workers might have taken an early retirement, or retail employees might have been laid off and then taken a work-from-home customer service job. Or people who stuck with their industries, they might have been promoted during the pandemic, and that freed up some jobs at the bottom. Then, of course, there are the people who just suddenly lost their jobs and ended up on unemployment insurance, and well, it's not great, they didn't have a lot to lose at their shitty $10 an hour no benefits job. Not to mention the fact that with all their newfound free time, they might have seen an improvement in their mental health or family life. So no, there's not a labor shortage. The workers exist. I heard the statistic that about 1 in 4 people are making more now with the supplemental unemployment insurance than they did at their jobs. In response, many states are canceling that extra $300 from the federal government to urge workers back into their menial, dangerous, awful jobs. But that also means that 3 out of 4 people have essentially taken a pay cut by being on UI and still aren't returning to work. It isn't just because people are greedy welfare queens. This is a really complex issue. I keep seeing these stories on the news where these people go on and I own a manufacturing plant or a restaurant or a plumbing business and I can't find workers. A lot of them will even boast about how they've increased salaries or there's a signing bonus, but it still isn't working. I even heard a news report about how once high school gets out, all of those students will be added to the labor pool, and that will be our solution, which just kind of blows my mind.
The labor pool could increase when high schools and colleges get out.
But let's talk about what employers could do to get people back to work. Paying them better is a great start. Why don't you take whatever number you think is reasonable and double it. Then offer benefits to your employees, especially if you're the kind of person who's inclined to vote against things like Medicare for all or increased Social Security, because this is what you wanted, right? Another thing is you can offer them food. I've worked at restaurants for 15 years now, and I've noticed there are two types of places: the kind that retain employees and the kind that have a really high turnover rate. And the biggest difference is whether or not they make the employees pay for food. You're a restaurant. Feed them every day, you cretins. Oh, and when your employees ask for time off, give it to them. Seriously, that's actually one of the main reasons I found it so hard to ever leave the restaurant industry, is because in a lot of other industries, you get like 8 to 10 days a year that you're allowed to not be at work. In the restaurant industry, it's like, oh, you want to go to South Korea for a month? I don't care. Get your shifts covered. For office workers, it's a much different reality, and that's probably why people are so obsessed with this whole like work from anywhere culture. So let's talk about what you, as a worker, can do right now. I'm going to be making some generalizations, but I know there are workers out there who cannot take risks, like single parents or immigrants who face deportation. However, for everybody else, if there was ever a time to take a risk to improve your material conditions, it's right now. You hold all the cards, or at least as many cards as you're ever going to hold. It's like I always tell my boss, what are you going to do, fire me? First, I want to speak to all my unemployed sweeties. Stay on unemployment insurance as long as humanly possible. Within the context of the law, I have to say this. I think it's illegal to just stay on unemployment or something. I don't know. I know it can be messy, especially if you get frozen in the system or if your old job calls you back and you feel like you can't turn them down. One really funny little like satirical, theoretical, parody, non-actionable thing I want to tell you about is that working part-time is not worth it. It's literally like, just do the math. When you work part-time, it cancels out the unemployment you do receive. Here's some math based on California's UI policy. Your weekly amount is $315, not including the extra $300 a week. And you get part-time work that pays $200. You will instead receive $165 of your usual unemployment. So now you're going to get $165 from UI plus the $200 you made at work. That's $365. You could have worked 0 hours and gotten the usual $315. Weird, right? It seems like you only netted $50. So if that was for 20 hours of work,
it's like $1 an hour.
Oh, and be careful, because once your benefit drops below $100 a week, you also don't get the extra $300, by the way. Of course, it would be unconscionable for you to turn down suitable work, so I can't suggest that for you. Full-time work might be worth it, but for most people who are currently averaging $620 on UI with the supplemental, that would mean earning at least $16 an hour for a 40-hour work week, just to make as much as they're making on UI. So if you can find a job that pays you $20 an hour, $25 an hour, full-time, 40 hours a week, yes, it's worth it to get off UI. If you find a job that pays literally anything less than $16 an hour, it is not worth it. Now, I know students and certain other people, can't get UI for certain reasons, so they're in a hard place, but this is just for the majority of people that are having an average UI experience. And, of course, that extra money is not going to last forever. In fact, many states are already cutting the extra $300 to urge people back to work. So if you get offered work or you can't stay on UI, what should you do? Do not go back to work for what you made before. Groceries cost more, gas costs more, everything costs more. So should your labor. I'm so sick of wages not catching up with inflation. They always say that if we increase wages, we're going to have inflation, but we don't increase the wages and we get the inflation anyways. And remember, without you, the businesses cannot operate. So ask for more. You might say, oh, but Kelgore, I feel so bad for them. This is such a hard time for businesses, and I just want the world to go back to normal. Stop. This is a huge misconception right now. Sure, businesses are struggling, but what a lot of people aren't talking about is how much money a lot of these businesses are receiving in PPP money and in these small business grants that they do not have to pay back. For the PPP money, not only do they have to spend it on certain things like payroll, but they have to spend it within 24 weeks. So if they don't spend that money, they have to pay some of it back They can get audited if they don't spend it right. So asking for a raise right now really is not that unreasonable. This highlights something that I think is really important. Not only do workers need to understand their own value, but you need to understand the perspective of the owning class. You don't have to have a college degree in accounting to understand tax loopholes and the little games that these businesses play just to stay on top. And the more you learn about how it all works, the stronger your position will be when you're negotiating your livelihood. Look up your state's small business and PPP loan rules and regulation. Do some research on COVID relief and the tax breaks they're going to get, and you will grow even more powerful. People love to calculate our value by the hour, 40 hours a week. But let's be honest, when you work a 40-hour-a-week full-time job, your employer isn't just paying you for the 40 hours that you're there. They're funding your entire life, your existence. Your days off are contingent on the fact that you have that job. The framing that they're paying us for 40 hours keeps us from feeling so indentured to them. So another thing is ask for a signing bonus. I don't care if you're a dishwasher or a lawyer. Do not ask for less than $1,000 to start at a job. More if you feel like you have the leverage. This also goes for employed people. Is your company understaffed? Is your boss asking if you know anyone who can work? Ask for a referral bonus. Whoever you refer, if they hire them, you get $1,000, however valuable you think it is to them. Also, do not let this labor shortage fall on you. You have no stake in the company. Don't start doing 2 or 3 people's jobs because they can't hire. Ask for a raise, ask for time off, and get what you need now because this window of opportunity will close. Another thing, if you see people striking, do not cross the picket line. Solidarity with workers everywhere is the only way we can improve our conditions. If you are fortunate to have a good job that pays well, use your privilege and power to help those below you rise up, like the immigrants who can't go on strike or demand a raise. The working class is not your enemy, and you need us more than we need you. We may never get a general strike in this country, but small acts of solidarity make big differences too. Voting with your dollar isn't enough. Stop working, stop buying, stop participating until that power imbalance improves. The wealth disparity is becoming greater, and with the political rivalry between the left and the right, we may never come together as a working class. We always want to put these things off until later, but right now is the opportune moment. Striking isn't just for union members and organizers. Non-union strikes of just 5 or 10 employees coming together for a short amount of time can make big differences. Expect more for yourself. Ask more of the owning class and give more to the workers around you.